We're going to move on to Vincent's question. It says, I have 2 mutual funds that had a load fee up front. I don't know that I really realized that at the time. Should I let them be or move them to a target date fund?
Oh, that's a good question.
Well, so I want to make sure I understood this. Vincent said he bought 2 loaded mutual funds and they were front-end loaded funds.
Yes.
So for those of you that aren't familiar, inside of the investment universe, we talk all the time about index funds. We love them because they're so low cost and you don't have to pay any sort of commission or any sort of charge to buy those. Well, not all investment products are created that way. Some investment products are structured in such a way that when you go to buy that product, immediately, day one, off the top, a commission is paid out to the individual or to the company that's selling you that particular investment product.
And it's called a load.
And it's called a load. So the ones that it sounds like Vincent got a hold of are front-end loaded, most likely some sort of A-share type mutual fund. So he put $100 into the fund, $5 immediately went to go pay the company or the individual. Well, now he's probably recognized, man, that was not the best solution. So do I sell them or am I better off just holding them? Is there some sunk cost here? What's the best way for me to approach this? And what are some other things maybe that Vincent ought to look at, like maybe internal operating and that sort of thing, that would help him decide if it makes sense to keep those mutual funds?
Yeah, I mean, this falls into don't just immediately react and sell, but it is one of those things where I want to make sure Bo's alluding to, you don't want to get caught in the sunk cost fallacy where just because you paid a 5% load on the front end that you now need to stay forever because you've already paid that commission. I would, and this is where Bo was taking us. You need to go look at the internal operating expenses of this fund. I mean, because if it's high, if it's greater than 0.5% or and if you look at the long-term performance, because it's not uncommon that there are some managed international funds, some managed small caps. These are somewhat inefficient markets that it might make sense that there's going to be more turnover and more costs where it gets close to 1%. But if you're comparing to index funds are basically free these days. And I saw a stat, somebody in the comments probably can clarify this, that for the first time in history, there are now more assets in passive, meaning index funds, than active funds. So we have now crossed over a new time, and I remember doing shows. I've been doing this content so long that there was a period of time where I did episodes where I said the best performing investment that less than 5% of the population owns.
That's definitely changed.
It has completely flipped the script. But what has driven that change from active to passive is the fact that, man, when you can lower your internal expenses down close to zero, because that's where index funds now are. They're, like 0.01%. I mean, it is cheap how these things have gotten. That goes a long ways towards good performance if you can get those internal expenses low. I would also pay attention to what does the asset allocation look like? What does historic performance look like? And then compare that to some of those indexed target retirement funds, because those funds, they're less than 10 basis points, right?
It depends on the version that you buy, but if you're buying the good indexed target retirement funds, some of the bigger providers, they get really, really inexpensive.
They're less than 20 basis points, right. 0.2% for sure. But I'd go compare some of those things and then make the decision of what is the best going forward. Not just off what you paid in the past. That's a sunk cost. There's nothing you can do to get that money back. But also pay attention, is it a true A-share? Because A-shares mean that you paid the commission on the front end. There are other alphabet soups out there. There's B-shares. Yep. You don't see those very often, but they have a huge deferral fee on the way out. So pay attention to that. And then there's C shares, which will have kind of both. They'll have a commission on the front, and then they'll have a commission ongoing when you leave as well. So just you need to do your research and figure out, are you truly done with the commission train, or is there going to be like a deferred sales charge even on the way out the door?